Good morning. How are you today? It is absolutely gorgeous. It is so perfect today. If every day was like this, we'd be spoiled. so I'm out listening to the birds in between working on cases, writing pleadings, and like everybody else, waiting to see what happens out in Minneapolis. I thought that Blackwell, when he gave his summation, he cleaned up all the mess that had been left, the gaping holes that were by the opening summation by the prosecution, and the series of magical misdirections by the defense, and finishing up with basically, Chauvin did this because he has no heart. It's not how he said it, but that was the last thought that the jury had to deal with before they went off to deliberate. I understood they stayed a little late. Now, maybe you can't read anything into that, but that gives me the feeling that they wanted to finish and they came back today. So it is possible that they'll make a decision today. If they do, I think that would tend toward conviction. Of course, now the definition will be two things. Did they and will they convict them on all three counts? Will there be a compromise verdict? And will a juror hang on any one of them, forcing this to go into extra innings? It's interesting, the definition of some people about this trial. Some say, oh, it's just about a murder case, and it's not really about a police officer. It's about some guy, a brigand. And the truth of the matter is, it is about the police, because some police stood by him, and others, and this is the unusual part, one of the reasons why we have good faith belief that we will have a conviction, is that we had officers who recoiled from his misconduct and testified at the trial about what our boy Chauvin had done. So that's all very positive. The judge did something that I thought revealed a bias that I think we've seen from time to time in the trial, thinking that Maxine Waters, because she said that people should stay and continue to protest, that was some sort of like call for something undignified and inappropriate and disrespectful of the court. A member of Congress certainly has a right to talk about pending legislation, indeed a bill called the Floyd Justice Act. And the judge went off on her a little bit, even though he did not have a single juror who could be identified, who was influenced by what she said, heard what she said, or couldn't put it aside and decide the case based on the merits. And if he really thought there was any possibility, he should have brought in the jury and asked them one by one. And he should have done this before he dismissed the two alternate jurors in case he needed to replace one. So I'm not impressed by the judge. I do know life trials are batting averages, but I thought he was a little light in the impartiality yesterday. And I'm glad to see the Speaker Pelosi stood by Maxine Waters. And I got to know Maxine during the impeachment, that is the attack on Clinton. And we defended against that, not that what he did wasn't bad, but that it wasn't an impeachable offense. It was more like a personal offense. And a lot of people could have a righteous stance to criticize him for it, and some people might have resigned for office, not Clinton. The next thing is another political figure that I care about died now, I guess, a day and a half ago, and that was Walter Mondale. They called him Fritz, a nickname for him. He was a very strong liberal from Minnesota, and he went to the Democratic Convention in 1984, and he said, Ronald Reagan will raise your taxes, so will I. He won't tell you. I just did. Well, the problem with that statement is it's earth-shattering to any Democrat with experience, because the lie is that Democrats just tax and spend. And so he played right into that. Although Reagan, when he beat Mondale, did increase taxes. Isn't that the way? Now, I was particularly interested, not just as a citizen, but I was out in San Francisco, nominated to run for Congress that year in Northern Virginia, the 10th Congressional District. And so I ran around saying I was an Irishman with short arms and deep pockets. And Pamela Harriman was one of my benefactors, and she helped me raise funds while I was out in San Francisco. But as the election got closer and closer, and there were other problems in the campaign, it just washed away the margin that I was accumulating to be competitive. And I got 95,000 votes, but the people decided I should remain a trial lawyer instead. It wasn't enough. Mondale went on. He only carried, well, really one state, his home state and D.C. And years later, he became the ambassador to Japan. And he's had worthy responsibilities, and he's worked in a law firm, and he's kept his laboring oar in the politics. And as a result, he helped a lot of people, including Klobuchar, who was interested in running for president, as you know, and has proven herself to be a strong public servant. So it's a shame that we lost him. His campaign manager, years later, in one of the green rooms, was there with me, and he looked at me and he says, "John, I want to tell you, I'm sorry." I said, "What are you sorry for?" And he said, "I'm sorry that Mondale helped you lose that election. And some of my friends said you could have concealed a multitude of my personal and political defects in his loss, because you really do follow the top of the ticket." And there are others who were much more established and who had done better in the cycle, the 2-year cycle before that, who got about the same problems that I had statistically that election year. So we wait for the verdict in Minneapolis, and we think of the good work that Fritz Mondale did, and we enjoy the day if we can. All the best. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.